What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Like always, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Today I want to talk about the first book I read, getting back into reading. I recommend reading it for sure. I don't recommend making it the first book you start off with. It's a pretty challenging read, but it's laid out really well. The book is really good. On the Resurrection, Volume 1, The Evidences by Gary Habermas. Sorry if I butchered that. He spent about 54 or more years just gathering resources, all the archaeological evidence, scientific evidence, biblical evidence, everything you can imagine. This is volume 1 of 4 volumes to prove the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If you're curious about how scholars approach the claim of the resurrection and from a historical and evidential standpoint, this one is for sure something you want to pick up. It's the Minimalist Facts, I believe. The book is so good. I definitely recommend it, and I'm definitely going to reread it at some point in the future before I buy volume 2. The book is super good. Different approach to this video today. I have some notes here in front of me, so I'm going to be looking back and forth as I get better at making these book review videos. Okay, what the book is and what it talks about really is he gathers evidence from not only Christian theologists and archaeologists and all that, but he also uses, he talks about the skeptics, the atheists, and all the stuff that they think they've provided to prove that the resurrection didn't happen or didn't happen the way the gospels say it did. Or even there's writings from back then, like from Josephus, and there's other authors from back then that talk about the resurrection that aren't in, from a biblical perspective. So the goal that he uses in this volume 1 is to present a thorough survey of historical evidence surrounding the resurrection of Jesus Christ. According to the publisher, this volume covers the nature of historical research, historiography, and methodology, the existence of Jesus, then what Habermas calls the minimal historical facts, like I mentioned earlier in the video. So we'll hold it up for a little bit. It's pretty heavy. It's a big book, 1,000 pages, I believe. And then there's all the notes and resources at the end. Sorry for the ums. Again, we're gonna try each video to say those less and less. But let's continue on. Here we go again with that. The minimalist historical facts around the resurrection, then the additional 6 other known facts, and finally the gospel resurrection data it's themselves, which is the 4 gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You can pick up your New Testament and read it anytime. How the Gospels and other early Christian sources present the resurrection. He goes over that. Almost every single chapter in the book has tons of resources and notes included at the bottom of the page, and tons of scripture to back it up. This matters a lot, especially if you're coming from a Christian theological perspective. If Jesus didn't rise from the dead, as the evidence pretty much proves, then Christianity collapses. I myself wouldn't be a Christian if the resurrection of Jesus didn't happen. But we know it happened. The evidence is insurmountable, and people can argue till they're blue in the face and do mental acrobatics all they want. But come on. This is just volume 1. And this is just a minimalist facts approach. There's also the maximalist facts approach. It's crazy. The structure and methodology that he uses, he deals with the nature of historical research. What does it mean to history? How do scholars assess the sources? How do they know what they know? Habermas surveys philosophy of history, historiography, and he also goes over the critiques and the tools of secular historians and Christian historians alike, and neutral historians. So it's all in there. He lays the preliminary grounds. For instance, the existence of Jesus is established. What is a miracle? Jesus was known to be a healer. There's references to that outside of Scripture as well. People that just witnessed what he did, or word of mouth, because that's what they had back then. You go into the part 3 of the book. He starts examining the minimal historical facts. That is, those facts about Jesus and the resurrection that Habermas argues are so well supported by critical scholars, even skeptical ones. Things that they know Jesus lived and did. We're not talking about the resurrection yet, that any plausible theory must account for them. So you got to remember those things. That's something. We know Jesus Christ lived and walked on earth. The argument that atheists and secular people have is he wasn't resurrected, but we know now through all the evidence that he was. And it doesn't matter. You can fight in the comments about it all you want. I don't care. You're never going to change my mind. So that's that. Um, Part 4 of the book, there's 6 other known historical facts, facts supported but not quite at a minimal fact level. These include like things like the empty tomb of Jesus when Mary Magdalene and I believe it was his mother Mary. They went to the empty tomb. The angel was sitting on top. It was like, hey, he's not here. And they were like, what? And then, like, of course, the Jews made up the story that the apostles came and stole the body. And then I think there's some stories like the Jews drug his body through the street, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So, an important methodological note, the minimal facts approach is key here. Habermas identifies facts that he claims enjoy very wide agreement among scholars, believers, and skeptics alike. The idea, if you can build a case based on these minimal facts, then you have a strong foundation. And he builds a very strong foundation for the entire course of the book that you're reading. I mean, honestly, if there was like a class and to just go over this as a class, the 4 volumes of this, like 4 years of research into this, I would definitely do it. That's how good this book is. It's pretty awesome. Some of the key arguments that are found particularly interesting: Jesus' death by crucifixion, firmly established historical starting point. Some people say it didn't even happen at all, or that he wasn't dead when they put him in the tomb, which is insane if you know how it went. The disciples' experiences, claims of seeing Jesus alive, the early proclamation of the gospel, because you got to understand, those apostles, if they were making it up that he was resurrection, why did they die? I think all but Matthew, they died terrible, horrible deaths. I mean, tell me why. That doesn't make any sense to anybody with half a brain. Why did the original apostles die such brutal deaths? And then for 500 years, if you read your church history, you know everybody after them that was spreading the gospel was also persecuted, horrible deaths, but they did not deny Christ and they did not deny the resurrection. So it's honestly insane to me how people still deny it to this day. Habermas wants to show that any hypothesis other than the resurrection fails to account for all these facts, and he goes through all of them. And I'll just listing them: death by crucifixion, disciples' experiences, early proclamation of the gospel, which you get through all the New Testament, conversion of James and Paul. Paul was a persecutor of the early Christians until he seen Jesus after the resurrection. Jesus helped him convert, and he became a pivotal person in the New Testament. He was a major force to be reckoned with. I have a book I'm going to read just based on him at some point in the future. Both these encounters, they both encountered the risen Jesus. James's account is really good too. The empty tomb and the burial, they have strong historical support that even secular archaeologists have like, okay, it's there. What are they going to do? They can't argue that. They have to do mental acrobatics, like I said earlier, to argue something else. So, the one thing I like about this, and when I get the other 3 volumes, is the sheer comprehensiveness. It's not. I said it's a tough read because it was the first book I read before I even read a regular fiction novel. I read this, and I need to go back and read it again. It's so amazing, and I retained a lot more than I thought I was reading it, but I want to slow down. I was reading it pretty fast. I want to slow down and really take it in. And like I said, I think in the future in my life, at some point, I'm going to get all 4 volumes and just study them because I really love it. I mean, I know a lot of people are against the minimalist facts approach, but I really like it. It's a big beast, over 1,000 pages. Sometimes it's over reliant on the scholarly consensus, and the methodological assumptions may be debated, but he debates himself throughout the whole book using atheist and secular arguments and other scholars in the field that study these. So that's the book. Is vigorous and it's a demanding read, and I would say take your time, read it over the course of a year or something, and really study it if you want to get deep into what Gary Habermas is presenting here. But at the same time, it's an amazing book. It's an amazing piece of work, and it's just expensive. That's why I don't have the other 3 volumes yet, but these will be in my personal library until the day I pass away and join Christ in paradise. Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, I was pretty ignorant before I made my conversion, so we'll see. I got a lot of dividends to pay, but that's the video today, guys, on the resurrection evidences, Gary Habermas. I highly recommend it. I'm not even that intelligent of a person, and I was able to understand this book, and I think anybody could pick it up. It's a challenging read, but I think you can make it happen. Even if you just want to read and skip the resources at the bottom and just focus on what Gary Habermas is presenting throughout the pages, I think anybody can pick it up and be capable of. And maybe one day in the future, him or somebody else will make like shorter versions of this for us small brain folks. So we can see. We only time will tell. That's the video today, guys. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think about this beast. I mean, it's so good. I highly recommend it. Later.